Welcome back, Bantwana Benkosi. Welcome back. This is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. And here on Power 987, we're going to be speaking to Professor Firoz Cachalia in this segment. And to basically do a broader introduction so that you sort of remember him. He has been appointed by the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, to replace Senzo Mchunu as the police minister on an acting capacity. Prof, thanks deeply for creating time to speak to us here on Power Talk.
Thank you, Mbuseni. Now I'm slightly intimidated because I was following your political career very closely. And now you are interviewing me.
Yes, and I'm coming to take the position on your retirement there, Wits.
Yeah, no, I think they need to fill that position.
Just for the sake of our listeners, particularly millennials, Prof, if you could a basic introduction of who you are, where have you been, and the roles you have played in society. I could do that on your behalf, but I think it's better to that society hears you on your own voice.
All right. So I grew up in under the old apartheid order in a family which what I would call a Congress family, with a strong history of political struggle. I can't remember a time as I was growing up when I wasn't highly politicized. And at a very young age, I became engaged politically in community struggles at the university. I was president of the Black Student Society, active in the UDF, in the Transvaal Indian Congress, and in the 70s and 80s you couldn't be active without being detained and banned and so forth. So I experienced what many people in my generation and before experienced. Then 1994 arrives, and it's a natural for me to continue in the government in a democratic order that we had fought for. I happened to be overseas at the time doing a master's degree at the University of Michigan after, in the middle of, after CODESA won, I decided, well, I will now, study and consider a career in law and so forth. I wasn't really thinking about being deployed, if you like to use the language that has become current. But then, while I was there, I was asked actually if I would be prepared to serve, and I was put on the list of the provincial legislature while I was overseas, and of course I agreed to duty calls. And then when I came back, I served in the legislature for a while, I think for 15 years as a speaker for a while, and then served in 2 portfolios in the executive, including community safety. And then after 15 or 20 years, politics, as you know, it can be a rough business. So I decided that the time was for me to leave had arrived. So I left. In the period while I was in government, and this would be my advice to the millennials who are listening, keep studying and empowering yourself like you have done. And so, I continued to study and to publish and write and so forth. So when I felt that I needed to leave. I could leave, and I was appointed at Wits University in the law school, an adjunct professor. And then after a few years, appointed as director of the Mandela Institute. And then, for 3 years, I've been the chairperson of the President's Anti-Corruption Council, which has been a great and very rewarding experience. So in brief, that's me.
It seems to me the president's call is essentially calling you to a war. I don't think we have seen what General Mkhwanazi did over the last 30 years of what I consider still our very fragile democracy. The people within the security cluster, and certainly crime, intelligence, the Hawks, and the various bodies of the South African police are at war with each other. You are being called essentially into that war. Why did you agree?
And even the discussion between me and the president took 2 minutes. I didn't, for me, refusing was not an option. I mean, that's just, my orientation to public service. And by the way, I don't think that's unique. I think that's a quality that grew and developed in the struggle days, and it's the reason why we were able to achieve what we did in the struggle. I'm talking about generations. I'm not talking about myself or a generation of the 70s and 80s or so forth. So I really honestly can tell you it wasn't even, I didn't reflect for 1 second. Now, it is clearly a situation of which you characterize as a war. I wouldn't use that language, if you don't mind my saying so. I think that that is a very serious situation. The allegations that he has made in public, not following any kind of protocol which would ordinarily be applicable, right? I think we can all agree on that. It was highly unusual for him to make a decision to go public. It might turn out that in time that he will have been vindicated. If it turns out that the allegations he has made, because that's all they are at this point, facts have yet to be determined. If it turns out that in fact these allegations have substance, and the allegations are of a very serious nature, they concern corruption and the abuse of power in high places in the police service itself, which is established to provide safety and security. Very concerning that he has indicated that there are such problems also in the NPA. He mentioned the judiciary. Now, these are very serious allegations, presumably not lightly made, but they are allegations. So this is a problem that has to be addressed. The public are rightly agitated about these allegations. They come in a context. I think the feeling that is finding expression now is that of accumulating frustration, a feeling that there's a lack of accountability, a feeling that corruption is growing, that organized crime is gaining a foothold. That has been a feeling growing for a long time, and at the same time is that there is inadequate action by the authorities. So that's where we are. And when you're in a situation like this, you don't fold your arms. You step up to the plate. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not I'm thinking deeply about the situation that the country is in, and that the responsibility that I now have. I worry about being able to meet the expectations of the public and to meet these challenges. But yes, I don't think I had a choice but to agree with the president, to accept his trust in me, and I hope I'm going to be able to fulfill that trust.
You are not new to the responsibilities of presiding over the people's safety. As you indicated, you did serve as MEC of Public Safety here in Gauteng. I was looking at the various years and the numbers and the different reports that you would have been part of, and the problem pointed out by Mkhwanazi is precisely in the same province. If his allegations are true, the big cartels he's referring to, they are operating in the province you used to be the MEC of. I've got two questions. Is it maybe in light of this understanding that you operated mostly in this province that maybe the president thought of you on the one hand? But also, what would be your first order of business to restore, as it were, concrete confidence in the public on the political position of the Minister of Police?
Look, I didn't ask the president why he appointed me, but I suppose I do have some kind of track record in government and in political struggle. So I'm known to him, he's known to me. He might well have taken into account the fact that I have some experience in safety in Gauteng. Of course, the national ministry is a wholly different order of business. Gauteng was very important, but provincial governments have limited powers under the constitution when it comes to policing. But I can say in retrospect, and you can look at my record as MEC for safety, that some important and interesting work was done then. I will mention just a few areas where I think we made progress. And I will certainly be relying on some of that experience this time round. The responsibility of the department was to exercise civilian oversight over the police. So it's not quite the same as a national minister. And what we did is to put in place what we call the JIP system, a system of data gathering and analysis, which put me in a position to have a productive conversation with the police about their performance, about priorities, and so forth. That JIP system, which over time the police learned, I think, accepted my bona fides, and they themselves saw that this system was beneficial to the decisions that they had to make. The second was that created a platform for me to take action which provincial MECs really couldn't take. But in discussions with the provincial commissioner, they agreed to go the route, to accept my advice. We identified what we call the trio crimes, the most impactful crimes on people, house robberies, car hijacking. I'm not sure if I remember the third one, but we then set up a war room. We brought all the files, the case files together in a single area, tried to set up task teams that could focus on these crimes, and to do an analysis case by case and to look for patterns. And as a result of the TRIO initiative, all three crimes in a period of 2 years showed a significant decline, 20-30%. Okay? So it's something that it was a model that worked. And the third area that I was most excited about was that, we have a system of community policing forums. I found that some of them were dysfunctional, at least when I became the MEC. A lot of conflict, not all of them, but some of them, a lot of conflict and contestation, so forth, going in the police forums. So I set up what was called the Take Charge campaign, recruiting community volunteers. And I had a very strong department. I had wonderful people in the department who embraced that project. And we were able, I think we recruited 20,000, 30,000 young people from communities, because as we know, in a lot of informal settlements and so forth, people can't afford private security, right? So we created these community forums, these community volunteers. I still see them around sometimes when I attend community events. And they were well received at the time. I mean, this is something that can go wrong when the volunteers think they're police officers, and they start arresting people and so forth. But we trained people. We took them through a rigorous process. And we recruited maybe 30,000 volunteers in the province. So that was very impactful, and I'm still committed. I think community policing is a very important one. It's one pillar of policing in South Africa. And then, of course, I think that the responsibility I've had for the last 3 years as chair of the National Advisory Council, where we've done a lot of research into policing, into questions about where the weaknesses are in the current anti-corruption architecture. And we have made some serious recommendations, which I hope will find the light of day. And now that I'm in this position, I think I'll be in a better position to take some of these ideas forward.
But what will be your first order of business, taking into consideration the circumstances in which you are being called to act as the police minister?
So, look, I have not been sworn in yet. My thinking is this. I need to meet with the National Commissioner, have a discussion with him, then set in place a process of meetings with the senior leaders of the police service across the country, probably prioritizing KwaZulu-Natal. I will be suggesting to him, but I'm going to listen to what he has to say, because, I have to respect his judgment. I want to build trust with the police service. I want them to see that I am getting for them, that I support them in carrying out their responsibilities. But they also will have to understand that I have a political mandate. I will not overreach. I will not become involved in operational matters. But we should be able to have a discussion about the way forward and what the priorities are. I would also say this, but I do not want at this point, before those meetings, to talk too much in public about this, because I have to listen to them as well. And that is this. The president was compelled to act in the way that he has after those somewhat allegations made in very, very unusual circumstances. Not normally the right process for a commissioner or a senior police officer to follow. But the urgency of the situation might well have compelled him to do so. Now, I can't see that. I think there are some consequential decisions that will have to be considered, of course, in the police service. Because here you have a situation where an incumbent minister has been placed on special leave and a judicial commission of inquiry appointed to determine the facts, which as yet are undetermined. So those are some reflections which I will share with the National Commissioner, but I do not want to say too much at this point.
If I put it to you we could talk about it as a hypothetical situation. The central unit that seems to be at the center, so to speak, of the entire storm is the Political Killings Task Unit, which we are told the minister who has been put on leave wrote a letter for its disbandment. The commissioner says he didn't implement such an instruction, and yet General Sibiya says he did. So there are about 120 or so dockets, 5 of which had to have arrests that are sitting with General Sibiya. Wouldn't it be in the interest of justice and fighting crime that the first order of business be to allow that political task unit to proceed with its work, specifically to proceed with the arrest that they were supposed to make, and then also the 120 dockets returned to them, so that we are not seen to be defeating the ends of justice?
Okay, Doctor, you are now asking me to get into detail, which, as I've explained, I'm reluctant to do. But I will say this, that is certainly the highest, that is the first question that I have to discuss with the National Commissioner. And we will take a view together. And then in 2 weeks' time, you can interview me again.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Professor Firoz Cachalia, thanks so much, and we wish you the best. I wish you most of all the bravery and the selflessness that made you sustain your principles under detention, torture, and imprisonment in apartheid. I hope that spirit accompanies you in your new role.
No, thank you so much for those observations. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Professor Firoz Cachalia.